Good morning, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to try to make this, not try, but we are going to make this hat that was worn by several snowboarders in the Olympics. Now, I chose a color that's much darker. This is a tan, while theirs was maybe a whitish grayish hat. This is my version of it, and I put my label on it, and I antiqued it a little bit so that it's not stark white. I personally don't like flip-up hats like this, but because that's how they wore it, that's what we're going to do. So today this is going to be the lesson. Also, I took the back center and I attached it down so that this doesn't go down. See? So that will stay always flipped up. And then her pom-pom wasn't as fluffy as I usually make my pom-poms. Again, this is going to be my first crochet online video. So I may make the pom-pom just a bit more puffy. They do need the long strings, but what I selected to do was to take two yarns, put them together, and crochet with a bigger needle. And this is a size 8. So if you are interested in doing this project with me, then stay tuned. Okay, so here we have the package of what was used to make the Olympic hat. Let's call it the Olympic hat. And I used 2 balls of yarn, and this is what I had left over. So this is the Deborah Norville Everyday Soft Worsted Anti-Plying Yarn. And let me see if I could see. It says here, I could never see that. Let me see. Does it have the total amount of yards for this yarn? No. Oh, here. 203 yards per skein. So I use 1 skein, and I would say half, and maybe less. So if you have 2 balls of yarn, actually, 2 balls of yarn, you can make this work. So what I did was I opened it up and I used the skein on one end, and then pulled the other end and used them together like that. So let me just give you this example here. This is what we're going to be using today. I took from this end a yarn and this end a yarn. And these skeins are a lot bigger than this. This skein is just like half of this. So probably one of these would work for you to, excuse me, the label's backwards, to make this work. Yeah, see, this is 397. But because I don't want to fuss with the yarn while I'm trying to do this on camera, I just pulled it from both yarns. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so let's put this aside and begin. You're going to need, I'm using, this is 8mm, an 8mm hook, which is an L. And then for the brim, this is a K, it's 6.5mm. I hope you can see that. Right, maybe there. Okay, and this one's an 8. Okay, guys. All right, so this color is And again, I'll have this listed in the links below. And these hats will also be in my Etsy shop. Oh, this is called Heather Gray, medium Heather Gray. All right. So we're going to start with, and for those who are beginners, I'll go slow. Here's how I start my crocheting. I put the hook underneath, and this is old style. My grandmother taught me this. I turn it, 360, and then I go under again. I hold this little knot here, and then I pull through gently. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go up to 26 stitches, and then we can go ahead and measure that. Alright, so I crocheted 28 stitches to measure 11 inches. Let me get my, yes, that measures 11 inches. Okay, so now we're going to, I put my finger right on that last one, crochet 1 to turn, and then I go under, over, into that first stitch, pull through, and that's a half double crochet. That's 1. Under, in through the stitch, over, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We'll recount the stitches at the end. You always have to go back and count your stitches, double check, because it's very easy to miss a stitch or double up on a stitch if you're not paying attention. So I always, no matter what I'm doing, I count my stitches. I tell my sister always, hello Migdalia, just in case you're watching, to always count her stitches, because she likes to go, get the job done, but she doesn't, I don't think she likes to count. But she's learned to count. So we're almost here at the end, and every time you turn, you're going to crochet 1 up. Okay, so before I turn it, I crochet it once, and then I pull it out. So let's count our stitches. So we have this first V is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 stitches. 27, and here's the last one. You see it? 28. So we should have, every time we create a row, 28 stitches. And that's going to be enough to tuck that hat over, or leave it as slouchy as you want it. So let's continue. Let's turn that piece over. I've already crocheted my first stitch to turn it over. So now we're going to go under, and then going forward from here, we're going to only work in the back loop. You see how that V, let me take this out. There's a V here. You're going to be working in this back loop right there. I hope you could see that right there. Okay, so only in the back loop, and you have to pay attention because it's easy to pick up that first loop. I kind of turn my stitch inwards towards me, and that's how I crochet my project throughout. So again, go under, go in that back stitch, and let's hold it and do that again. All the way across. And if I can figure out how to do this in slow motion on my camera so that you can see each stitch for those of you that are beginners, I will do that, but I don't have the software that I can do too much manipulating to my videos, but I will see what I can find. All right. It's tough working with 2 yarns. And again, I didn't mention that you could use the bulky worsted weight yarn. I personally don't like to work with bulky worsted weight, but that's my preference. That's not my preference, sorry. So here we're almost at the end. And we should have 28 stitches. And believe me, I say it's tough because I've had a tough time with, I haven't crocheted in a minute. I've been doing my journals, but I've been enjoying doing my journals. This is probably the only hat that I'm going to be doing. I just loved it so much that I had to do it. I couldn't stop thinking about the hat when I saw it on the Olympics. So after this hat, I will be getting back to my books. I hope I can stay in frame here. So let's see. That is supposed to be the last stitch. See, it's always good to put a stitch on the last stitch so that you know what your last stitch is, because that's what basically gets everyone confused. But if you double check your work, you shouldn't have a problem. So let's count this again. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and that would be the last stitch right there, 28. And it's easy to overlook that stitch because it looks like you're done, but in reality, this is the V. 28 stitches right there. See that? So if I were to put a marker here so that I don't have to, let me just get my, I have a stitch marker here. Actually, let me use this one. Okay, so if I'm going to put a stitch marker, I would put it right here so that I know that's my last stitch. Okay, I'm going to turn it again. This crochet hook, we don't, oh my goodness, we don't need that one until we're done with the hat. So let's try this one more time, and then I will be back when I finish my hat so we can put it together. Okay? So now I'm going to crochet one. We're going to go underneath the yarn into the V and pull it through. That's one. Oh, you know what? I'm doing that incorrectly. See? Even I can get stumped here. It's behind in the back stitch. Sorry guys. See, and here it's where you can get kind of confused, just as I did. So tuck under, and then we're going to go in that back stitch. Pull it through. And it's this back stitch here. See, so I wanted to show you here how you can make a mistake. All right. I really should have this in white so that you could see what I'm doing. Okay, here's an example of it not being a back stitch. You see that? I hope you can see that. And this is the correct stitch. And if you turn it over, you see the stitch back here, right here. So that means that this has to be pulled out again, and we have to grab the correct back stitch. It's that easy to get confused. So this is one, this is two, and in between here is the third. But it's hidden because of my stitch marker. See there? Now that's correct. See the difference? Where this is overlapping. And let's do that again. There you go. And then now the hardest stitch to grab is the first one and the last one, because they hide within the work. So you just have to see that? There's your ribbing. If your ribbing is missing two, if it doesn't look like a V, then that means you've done something wrong, so stop and go back. Okay? And you can rewind this video as many times as you'd like, I'm just showing you the do's and don'ts because I crocheted my hat last night watching a movie. It didn't take me long to crochet that up, but I was very careful with what I was doing. And I've crocheted long enough to recognize the stitching, and that's what takes practice, is recognizing with your eye the correct stitching and what's not correct. In crocheting. Alright, so I'm going to finish this row with you, and then I will be back with the complete piece, and then we can put it together. You're going to go ahead and crochet. Remember to always count your stitches. You should have 28 stitches each time you finish a row. You're going to crochet, I think I did 17 rows, maybe 18, and that was a little big for me. So just measure the circumference of your head, and then here we go. And then you'll know if it fits. Mine is 22. My circumference is 22. So I did about, I want to say 17 rows. So do 17 rows. Here, let's count them. Alright, I'm going to start here at the beginning of the tag, which is this one here. So we're going to say that one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18 rows, because we started here. So 18 rows is what you're going to be doing. So 18 of these braids right here. Okay? So again, you're going to count your stitches across, make sure that it's 28, and then I will be back with the completed piece. Okay guys, I am back with the completed rows for your hat. I believe I crocheted 17, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I think I stopped at 16 because the other hat, this hat was a little big on me. And this one had 17 rows. So, I'm going to stop at 16. Let me recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, I'm going to stop at 16. And then again, we have 28 stitches, which should measure 11 on your ruler. Yep, 11 inches in width. So now you can select, and there is a difference. I hope you could see that. In that, let's see. See, this is the wrong side. You see this? This is the wrong side, and this is the right side. You see how this is laid right on top? That's going to serve as part of your stitch to close the hat. So, let me cut my yarn. See, what we're going to do is we're going to do it this way, like this. I can take this off. This is going to fall like this. So, the one that you're going to see is this one right here. Okay? So that means we have to turn it and do it this way. Since I'm right-handed, I'm going to turn it this way. Okay. So let's see if I can do this on camera. So we're going to be using this stitching that's already here along with this one to make the braid on the outside. So this is still attached. And you want to make this pretty long because you're going to stitch along the top to close your hat, and then you want to make sure you have stitches, enough yarn to go along these lines to stitch the hat. So I'm going to say maybe about 1.5 yards, and I guesstimate that with, okay, with my arms. So we have, and I'm going to go ahead and use both yarns. I'm not going to separate them. I want to make sure that I get, I mean, if you're using the bulky yarn, you don't need to do this way, but you could use the single strand, of course. So let me see something here. Okay, this was my last stitch, so I'm going to run this completely through. And you have to take your time with this when you have so much yarn, because you can tangle it, and you really don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stitch markers, and I didn't say this before, but you can take any piece of yarn to use as stitch markers. Just cut the ends long enough to tie one time, and that'll be your stitch marker. Okay, so we know that here is our last stitch, so I'm going to take that and then this one I'm going to put it right there. Okay, and then, and you have to be really, I do this slowly because sometimes I pull the wrong or I put my needle into the wrong area. So just take your time with this, no need to rush. Your hat's almost done. So I take and I look to see where my first stitch is. So I would say that here, actually, yeah, it would be this one back here, because this one only has the single. See that? The other stitch is here. So maybe, let me see. You know what? We're going to use this back one. Let's go ahead and use the back one. And you know, you check it. If it's not correct, just pull it out and do it again. Alright. So I like to look under to make sure that I see these stitches, and then I'm going to take this and put it right in there. And I'm gonna just do a zigzag. This is the front, this one's the back. This is the front, and this is the back. See there, I went through that second one, so I'm going to take that out and go through just one. Okay? So once you get it going, then you can kind of pull them up. See that? So that you can make sure you have the right stitch. Okay, so all we're doing is crisscrossing. This stitch on this side is tighter than this one because this is what you started with, so it will always be a tighter stitch, and that's why it's more difficult to see. Do it this way. You can also do this with the crochet hook, but I think it's much easier because I am working with 2 yarns, 2 strands, and see how we could all right, so let's check. See that? What are we looking at here? So here you're going to be able to define that this is the back of your hat. You see that? Which I like. So we're going to continue. We're going to go all the way down, and I'm not going to pause the camera. We're going to do this together. Just take your time and make sure, this is the most important, to make sure that you have the correct stitch. And I always double check to make sure you have, see, this is the one we're working with, this one and this one. Always checking to make sure that you have the correct stitches. It's easy, very easy to get confused. I hope that anyone that is making their hat along with me will post it on my site. I have a Facebook page that is also under Lily Rays, so you can post your pictures there. Crocheting is just like getting a recipe hand down. You get the recipe, but everybody cooks differently, just as everyone crochets differently. Even though it's the same pattern, it comes out just a bit different. Everyone has a distinctive hand in making their own craft, and that's what I like to see, the uniqueness of that. So please post. Don't be ashamed if you're a beginner. I was once a beginner, and we all learn from our mistakes, but we don't learn if we don't make mistakes. So please post your craft, your creation. And that's exactly what it is. Your creation. I'm going to go one more down to make sure that this is secure. Okay. I'm not turning it over yet. I just want to take a peek to make sure that it is correct. And it is. Alright. So we are going to take this now and not cut your yarn. Do not cut your yarn, because now we're going to do I gotta remember my stitches. In and out. This has a name. This stitch has a name. Right now it's not coming to me. Binding stitch, I think. And take your time so that your yarn doesn't get tangled. In and out. Because this is going to be the top of your hat, so you want to make sure that you don't have any kind of holes. And then we're going to pull it together to gather it. This is the most basic stitch that you can do in crochet. I mean in sewing. I took sewing when I was in high school, and my grandmother was a seamstress. My mom, they all love to sew. Once we gather this together, then we can go ahead and pull it gently. Try not to, you see the big holes that you have, and that's just because of the stitching that you did. Try not to leave those gaps. Make sure you grab those. And the shorter the stitch, the more gather you'll have. And you won't be able to see this because, of course, it's the same exact color as your hat. So just make sure that it's nice and neat. I'll take these two here and then in here. You just gathering this up. This is a very, very thick hat. All right, we're almost at the end here. I think that's the end. So now just take your time and gently pull your hat. And see, you can close that hole. All right. Now you're gonna have to, here's what I do. I hold it tight and then I come on this side here and just put your needle in here so that you're able to pull it across. And I'm gonna do a zigzag on top as well. The hat is pretty thick. Okay, just on top. And then just keep pulling it. So now I'm going to go across this way. And if you go outside the hat, it doesn't matter. Try not to, but it doesn't matter because you're going to have the pom-pom there. And the pom-pom that I'm going to show you how to put on, let's do that one more time. You're going to be able to take it off if you don't want the pom-pom. I mean, some days, you know, you want to wear the same hat, but it has a pom-pom, so you don't want to wear it. But this one, you're going to be able to remove it and put it back on. Okay, and now I'm going to do, let me just see that is almost closed right here, but you won't be able to see that with the pom-pom. Okay, but I'm going to take this end right here and do another closure right there. Okay, so with this string, which was what we started with, I'm going to make what they call a surgeon's knot. 1 and 2, and then you tie. Let's do that again. 1 and 2, and then you tie. Okay, now yeah, let's go ahead, and I'm thinking, I don't think I have a gray yarn, but I guess I'll have to use this one here. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to cut this to leave enough to secure the pom-pom, and then tie it. So leave about 12 inches. That should be plenty. All right. And then I'm going to double up as I did with the hat to do the pom-pom. Now, I didn't use my Clover Pom Pom maker to do this. I just used a cardboard 5 by I think 4, and this was a little too long for me, so I'm going to go ahead and use the Clover Pom Pom that I have to get it. Which is this one. Okay, this is the large one. All right. So we're going to open this like this. Put this hat aside. And let's put that one aside. And then we are going to take the 2 tail ends of the yarn and then I normally just pinch it here and then start wrapping. I gotta put these on the rug there so that I can see that, just like that. And I try to keep my strings fairly tight and also even. And we want it full. And I know that the ones in the Olympics, they were a little longer, but I'm gonna go with this. I like my pom-poms kind of puffy. And I'm going to go back and forth about 4 times on one side. Okay, so that's 4. So now we close this side. And I got to get the other side out. It's on this side. Close it there. And then open it there. And so, I'm going to bring this over. So because I have to go on that end, I'm going to bring it over one more time. So that means 5, just loosely. 5 right there. And then close that one there and work with this one. That's 2, 3, 4, 4, and then 5, very loosely. Okay. So that's 5. That's still not going to be too puffy, but I'm going to leave it there. Okay. So we're going to take this string and I'm going to cut it right about to here. And then we're going to take this extra string that we had from the hat. And I'm going to use about 12 inches. And then here, what we have to do with this, just hold that there. And then what I do is I start to cut. I hope I wasn't focused there. Just gently And then also cut the one that's sitting right in here, that tied it together. Okay, then I place it down, and you put the string in between. I gotta be careful because this is you know what, my 12 inches is gonna be too short, so I'm gonna go with this one, and I'm gonna keep it double. This one's about 24 inches, maybe a little longer. Just use your judgment. So you're going to wrap the yarn around the inner part of your pom-pom, but be careful because it's already cut and loose. Tighten it as tight as you can. Whoop. Come back around, and here make another surgeon's knot. Just that's one, and that's two. Okay, and just tighten it, but be careful you don't break your string. Okay, that should hold it. All right, now open up your pom-pom maker, which I think is ingenious. And then we open it like that, and open it like that. Okay, and that's what you should have right there. It's pretty much even. Anything that you see sticking out like this, just cut. I treat it very gently, but you see how secure that pom-pom is? Okay? So now, I'm going to bring these together. And I always take my pom-pom and just gently tap it on your hands. And you can see how even that pom-pom is. Okay? Now back to the hat. So now we are going to take, oh, you're going to need a button, so let me get my button. Oh, excuse me. I have a lot of buttons. Let's see. Let me... Look at these big buttons. I love buttons. I'm looking for a gray one that matches. This one matches on this side, which is okay, but we're not going to use that one. Oh, here's another one. That's a very light gray. Oh, here's a gray. So we don't need it that big. Oh, here's a gray. That's a pretty one. See this one. This one has two holes. I'm gonna go with this one. Oh, these are gray as well. And these are pretty. You know what? I'm gonna go with this one. Doesn't have to be a fancy gray button, because this is going to give you the ability to take off your pom-pom and or put it or leave it on. Like if you're going to wash your hat, you could remove the pom-pom so it doesn't get damaged. If you want to wear your hat and not your pom-pom, you could do the same thing. So we have enough string on here. Maybe I should cut this side. Let me do another surgeon's knot, just to make sure. Okay, and then we could cut this really close. All right. Get my scissors in here. Here we go. Okay, so we can cut this carefully. And that knot is not going to go anywhere. And so we have this one. Let me see, make sure that your needle fits through the hole in the button. Okay, that one does. And for this, we can use just the single strand. We don't need to use both strands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it so that it's part of the pom-pom length. Voila. And then we're going to put this through. I always take my yarn, because this phrase, I bend my yarn and then I wiggle it through. Okay? So we have to turn our hat. Turn your hat inside out. Make sure it's on the right side. And you see that gather? What a beautiful gather that is. Yeah, I likey. Okay, so we're going to put the pom-pom in between here. So I'm going to start on this side. Let me do it right there. This is the hole, so you're going to go about an inch, maybe half an inch, no, an inch over to the right side, and you're going to pull that through. And then you're going to take your button and just weave that through. Okay? Then you're going to take your string out and just leave the button where you can make sure that the string doesn't come out. And we're going to turn it on this side, the pom-pom. And the reason I leave an inch on each side is because my pom-poms were falling off. So I had to find a secure way of attaching them. And this has been working. So this is a new way of securing my pom-poms. Again, I'm holding the string there. Here's the hole. I'm going to go right here and pull it through. Okay. So now I'm going to find my button. Here's my button. I'm going to make sure that it's across on the other side. And you can go up and come down again and complete those two areas. Fill the holes. Let's take this pom-pom maker out. But I think I'm going to tie it. I'm going to tie it there. Don't make a knot, just a surgeon's knot, because a surgeon's knot is easy to take out. And if you want to remove your pom-pom, okay, then I'm going to go back up. Whoop. I'm going to go through my button. Well, that's pretty secure right there. Actually, I'm not. I'm not, because I want the strings to be on the bottom. So, let me see. I'm thinking. I did the other one with crochet thread. I don't have gray crochet thread, so I'm trying to work with what I have. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and put it through the other hole that's available in the button. Okay? And then we are going to do the same thing with the other one. Put it through that button. Take that out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it a couple of times underneath that button. And then just tie it once. Okay. And then you're going to go ahead and make a little bow. This is crazy, I know. But it's going to be secure. You make that bow as tight as you can. So that when you're ready to wash your hat, you can take the bow out and put your hat back. Just remember not to cut your strings. So I'm going to leave about that much. You don't need that dangling, so. Alright? And that's what that should look like. And that's pretty secure. Here's your pom-pom. This one's a bit long, so what you do is you just go around to make sure you look at your pom-pom and just take your time and trim it. Don't go crazy trimming your pom-pom. Just anything that's sticking out. Okay. And look how secure that pom-pom is. That will not fall from there. Okay. So that's your hat. Now with my hat, the other hat, I cuffed it up the way they had it, but I felt it was so big, so I kind of tacked it in the back, and we know that our back is here because we have identified this line to make sure that you know which is the back portion of your hat. So this is the back portion of your hat, and this is the front. So I'm going to put this on my mannequin. I don't know that I'll be able to show it to you. This one is, I have a male and a female mannequin. Let's see. Yeah, see? That fits him like a glove. I'll have to take pictures. Let me see. Look. He's laying down. So there's your hat. Twirl it. There's your hat. I'm going to put my label on this and I'm going to post it, and then I will post pictures. This is going into my Etsy shop. Okay? So I hope that you had a great time creating this hat with me. This took me about an hour and a half to do, the actual crocheting, and now I can move on to another project. So I'm going to add my label and then post it in my Etsy shop. So thank you once again, guys, for joining me. Like if you like this video, share if you like this video, and please subscribe so that you will not miss my next upload. Alright guys, take care.